And we're the boys.
Yeah.
Oh, we're the boys.
Boys.
We're the boys.
We're the boys.
We're the boys.
We're
And
the
Anna
boys.
is a boy, and Mitch is a boy, and Chris is a boy, and Tim is a boy. And together we're the boys and the boys.
Hey guys, welcome to the Boys Podcast.
Woo!
Yay!
We are
called the boys.
And some people call us the boys.
We are in the car driving to Toronto at the moment. We've got Sheri, Mitchell,
It's me.
Tim, and Chris.
The four original, as we are known.
The boys. We're going to a park before Tim goes off to France.
Yep.
And we're going to just hang out and do some podcasts, have a picnic.
Yeah, I made some pretty nice looking sandwiches.
Yeah.
Macaroni salad.
Hands out to Share Bear.
Woo!
So we want to do a little recap of what absolutely insane thing just happened to us.
Yeah.
While we're on the highway driving to Toronto.
So, as some of you may know, we just made a story time with the boys.
Yeah.
And we were talking about...
what story time is.
So essentially, story time is we go around in the circle, and each of us adds a sentence, or lots of times a little more than a sentence, to an ongoing story, and then that ongoing story turns into something insane. Which at this point, depending on when I release this, you might have heard the story or not. So it could be something to look forward to, or to go back to, or you've already seen, or whatever.
And so basically we started making a story up about a guy named Clown who's like the governmental dude, and then this girl called Bus Girl, and they feel like this connection, and then they lose track of each other, because he disappears and stuff happens, and then
Well, don't tell the whole story. But here's the point.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're like, why are you telling us this? We can just listen to the story time or whatever. But here's why this matters. While we were driving, and literally we were coming to the end of our story, what happened, Chris?
So
No, the ending of the story. Just to make it clear. I had ended it saying that Bus Girl felt a soul connection to the guy who was called Clown, but he's actually a venture capitalist.
Mm-hmm.
But she felt
At this point, she's dressed as a clown.
she's dressed as a clown as part of a disguise
that he gave her.
They meet, and as this soul connection develops, her belly begins to burgeon.
Yeah, she did say
yes,
that.
I did.
before.
Because we wanted to create a second part of the story that would be about Bus Girl and Clown mating and raising their family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so.
And then what happened,
happened?
Chris?
So then Tim was stunned, and he's like, I just saw a clown. And we're like, yeah, alright. And he's like, no, I just saw a clown inside of that car, that backseat of the car. We're like, what? So I look over, and I see a glimpse of long eyelashes
And, a white face.
red lips and stuff.
And I was like,
Just
I was like,
a small little glimpse, and I was like,
yeah, I was
whoa,
surprised,
that's
but I was
scary.
like, you know what? I think that's actually zombie makeup. I don't think that's a clown.
And
Sherry was like, no.
I didn't see any of it
Doubting
because
Thomas.
when we drove past, she had her head turned, and all I saw was this brown ponytail. So I'm like, you guys, you're retarded. I don't believe you. I completely didn't
yeah,
believe it.
and I mean, I was hoping that it was a clown, but realistically, I'm like, she probably just has red lipstick on. But it was weirdly
so they pulled-
scary.
So they
it was
pulled.
weird.
So we pulled ahead, and then we were way too ahead of them. We're like, we probably won't see them again. But then their car pulled ahead of us, and she turns and looks straight at all of us.
Rolls down the window.
And it's a girl
And
with
makes
clown makeup, and we
direct
freak
eye
out.
contact with all four of us.
Mm-hmm. I screamed. I'm
She
gonna say right
has
now.
a purely white face with these long bits of red coming down her face and around her lips, and it was
not a zombie.
honestly
And
creepy.
vertical black eyes.
cut in the yelling now.
This is a flashback.
Oh my goodness,
So
that's
they-
so scary.
That was
a clown.
No.
Holy.
We
No.
need to go. We need to go
No.
beside it. We need to go
No,
beside
in that black van.
Oh yes.
You
a
know,
clown
I
just,
will not
literally a
believe
clown
you.
just popped its head out of
It was
the
a
car.
little girl, Tim.
I will not believe you until I see it with my
It
own
was a
eyes.
little tiny girl,
This has become a
Wait
podcast.
for it.
Tim. Oh my gosh, it is! Dude!
Where?
She's wearing them! What? Holy moly!
Here?
Right there!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
This is the best! This is the best!
That was a flashback.
Because she
I like cutting
literally
the entire
rolled down
reaction.
the window and stared at us into our souls.
And then,
That was a crazy
and
one.
so her dad realized that we're reacting to it, and he was kind of like laughing at it, like, "Oh man, this is silly." But we were so obsessed that he seemed like he was uncomfortable, and we were like, "But this is insane! We're talking about a clown until we saw a
And
clown."
clown babies.
And so then we started incorporating her into our story, specifically about Clown Girl, who's the daughter
Yes.
of Bus Girl and Clown. And then we pulled off of the highway,
Sorry.
and Chris is like, right as we pulled off the highway, Chris is like, "They're following us. What if they're going to the same park, even though we're nowhere near the park?"
No, going to the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we were
And
going
so-
to the gas station.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh my goodness. Like, I can't believe they're behind us." Like, that was what I was surprised about.
Yeah.
And then we went to the turning lane and they didn't, so I was like, "Oh, I guess they're not turning, so we won't meet them." But they pulled up beside us and we rolled down our windows and their windows are down, and we started talking to them.
Yes.
And we got to actually tell him what
We
had
told the
happened.
father about
And I'll
this
cut that in
podcast.
right here.
He's following us behind us. That's where we
Can you
are.
imagine if we actually
Oh my
meet
goodness.
Clown Girl?
Dude,
That
what
would
if we
be
get
brilliant.
What if we can get pictures for the
Oh
podcast?
my gosh! Please
Oh my
follow
goodness,
us.
this needs to keep
Oh,
going.
is he following us?
Yes, he is.
Yes!
Hey, we were just making a podcast talking about clowns.
We were talking about a story.
Oh my god, there's two of them! Oh my god! Twins!
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah,
Because of
we were
that.
just doing a podcast in the car talking about clowns, and then we look over
Yeah.
and we see cars.
You guys are awesome.
We love you! Oh my gosh, she waved at me! Clown Girl!
We met them. We
And so so it was insane because he was like, "What?" Like, he's like, "That's crazy." And here's the here's the big part, okay?
Biggest twist.
There were two
two.
clown girls, and then Tim said,
Twin clown girls.
and then Tim was like, "There were two," and that's how we ended the story with there being two clown girls, and there were two pineapple dogs.
The first story time we did, Tim ended that story time with saying there were two
As he was
pineapple
disappearing.
dogs.
But really, what are the chances that? I mean,
And so
it's
we
already
ended
one.
that, and then now we're ending this story with actually visually seeing two clown girls that we were just talking about.
So one, it's like a 1 in a million chance. Even beyond that you while you're talking about clowns, you happen to see people dressed up as clowns.
Yeah.
And then two, that they pull off at the exact same spot as us,
I
that we
know.
actually get to talk to them.
My only disappointment is I did not take a picture.
Oh my goodness.
Because that would have been a perfect picture with the
That
two.
would have been.
Um,
At this point, we're so far
doesn't
away from what our
exist.
meetings were that we try to figure out
We
there are.
spiraled down this rabbit hole of insanity.
But either way, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But now let's get to the meat of what we're talking about in this podcast.
The meat. The burgers.
Yeah, you're right. We're gonna do a recap of our trip to White Castle.
and how we made macaroni and cheese. So,
Sure, I guess.
Did we?
So let's start.
right now.
Let's start with the beginning.
Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. If you sing, you begin with, or if you
With
read,
do.
you begin with
Do,
A,
re,
B,
mi.
C.
ABC.
Now, and then it's like, if you sing, you begin with Do, re, mi.
Do, re, mi.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti.
You know what? Let's just get to the recap.
So, a deer,
A female deer, Ray, a drop of golden sun. Me, a name I call myself. Long way to run. So I need a ball like thread. Long enough to follow. So tea, a drink with jam and bread. That will bring us back to
go!
What's fun about that song is my class and I, our music teacher was Mrs. LaBelle at NCC. She was great. but she would teach us music because she had lots of percussion instruments. And then we'd take the percussion instruments and we'd play them. And at one point, we went and we walked around the entire school singing Do a Deer. It was so great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the actual recap.
Do mi so re fa fa la ti ti when you know the
notes to sing. You can sing most anything.
Do a deer. Okay, I'm done now.
So we started
I
off
apologize.
very late. In fact, I mean, like I didn't even
almost
know.
midnight.
I didn't like.
We started.
I didn't even know if we would do it because I showed up late and like we all kind of split
I couldn't
off.
find my passport.
Yeah, we split off in every direction.
Oh,
I went
we're
with
going
Mitchell.
back. This is White Castle.
Yeah, I went with Mitchell to go find his passport. Chris went to the U.S. to get Olivia's.
Olivia went with Mom.
Oh, Olivia went with Mom to get her green card from the States because we didn't want to figure all that out 4 hours into the trip.
Yeah.
And
because we weren't going to be getting to the border for like 4 hours after 4 hours of driving,
Yes.
which makes what comes even more insane. So
Yeah.
then we get into the car.
And it's now like already almost midnight.
and I think
Because we've been trying all evening to work it out.
Finally all got together. Me,
Yes.
which is Mitchell, Tim, Sheri, and Chris, and Olivia. And we were starting our trip. And then Chris was like, oh, I forgot my passport. He runs back in. He comes back out. He has his passport. And then Sheri's like, if anyone else doesn't have their passport, say so now. And Tim's like, I don't have my passport. We're like, ha, 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 ha. And he's like, no, I really don't. It's up in Ottawa. And we're like, what? After all this, Mitchell having to spend like an hour looking for his passport. Chris, like, having to run back inside
And
to
Sherry's
get
like,
it.
no, you're just joking.
I
Stop
totally
And Chris
it.
is
Just
like,
stop
nope, it
Stop
definitely
it.
did.
He's like, yeah, I'm like, crap.
And then we were like, but you, and then he was just like, well, I have 3 pieces of identity, so they should let us over. And we were like, you know what? Let's just try it. But here's the thing: it's not like we were going to go to the border and try it. We're going to drive 4 hours
to
in
the
Canada
Sarnia border.
and
At
then
12
try
o'clock
it.
at night. At
Yeah.
12 o'clock at night.
We live in Niagara Falls, New York. Please don't stalk us. No, not New York.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Just stick
Okay, yeah, Niagara Falls, New York.
But we live
And-
in Canada.
But we live in Canada. But my point is, it literally takes us 5 minutes to cross the border from Niagara Falls. So we could have tested it, but because the GPS said it was a little bit longer to go through the states, we're like, nah, we'll just wait till Sarnia, which is 4 hours away, to see if we can cross the border. So, yeah, now we're at the border. We're all
no. 'Cause
tired.
then we're driving. We're
Yeah.
like halfway to getting to the border, and we were talking about the border. And then
Yes.
Tim's like, "Oh, I have all of my tools in the trunk."
Yes.
Which is
Because we
like,
took my car.
wasn't there like a chainsaw in there or something?
There
What
might have
was
been
it?
there wasn't a chainsaw.
There's an axe at least.
Actually, there might have been a chainsaw. And there's axes, there was
Yeah,
saws,
axes,
hammers,
saws.
like circular saws.
And we were all like insane at this point because we were up so late, and we were like, "We're not getting over the border. There's no way they're going to let us."
So
Yes,
Tim
the
doesn't
guy-
have a passport, and he has a. Okay, so you have to picture this. So there's me, a good 20 years on everybody else in the car. Then there's Mitchell, who's wearing a top hat and pajamas.
Yeah. Oh, Toys R Us.
shirt.
A Toys R Us shirt because he'd been working at Toys R Us and just came. And then Chris had brought a red blanket, which he had tied around his shoulders like a cape.
Seriously?
So yes, he tied your red blanket around his shoulders like a cape.
Wow.
And then there's
Yeah.
Chris, Tim, and then very French-speaking girl who is super tiny, very tired, and it looks like we could have possibly drugged her. Like, she's so out of it.
Oh, and also,
So-
We
it's
were the
4 in the
most
morning.
insane-
We're
It's 4
high
in the
on
morning.
caffeine.
We were singing SpongeBob SquarePants as we were driving up to the...
Like children.
Yeah.
SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, literally as we're driving up to the border crossing. So Tim is the primary driver. He's driving. Oh, I don't have my passport. Gives him a driver's license. They're like, do you have anything in your trunk? Oh yeah, my construction tools. So like, yeah,
he
we're
knew he was
just
gonna have to bring it back to Ottawa.
need you to pull over to the side here. So we all go in. inside the duty place.
And we're practically high.
Oh yeah, we're laughing. And I'm getting this look from the person across the counter who's like my age, going, "What is happening here?"
And then they're like, "What are you doing here?" And we're like, "Sheri wanted to come." Because...
Yeah, they totally pinned it on me because I wanted to go to White Castle.
But Tim, on the way up before we went, he's like, "Guys, we're doing this for family. We're doing this for us.
The
It's
boys.
about our community."
It's all about the boys. It's all about the boys.
And then the minute we get there, they're like, "Why are you here at 4 a.m.?" And we're like, "It's Sheri's fault. Because she has a stupid bucket list."
Yeah, she always wanted to go to White Castle. And the guy is like...
Explain yourself, Nana.
The White Castle's like, fast food... The guy at the day is like, "You mean the fast food chain?" And we're like, "Yeah, they don't have them in Canada. They only have them in the States. And we just wanted to go see..." Because I really like this movie called Harold and Kumar. And I'm like explaining it all. Because they left me completely out to dry.
Yep.
So I had to explain why we were doing this road trip. So we got pulled over, got detained for about 20 minutes, and miraculously, truly miraculously made it across the border. Because when we were coming back, the lady on the Canadian side was like, "I seriously don't even know how you even got through." Like,
Yeah, she was like, "They don't let anyone in if they don't have a passport."
Anymore. They used to, but they changed it to...
Yeah, they just recently...
So then... But going back, so then we're driving to White Castle, and we get there, and we go up.
Oh my goodness, guys, I forgot my passport.
Good thing we're not going over the border.
We're gonna plane.
Are you lying right now?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was good. That was a good one.
I'm like, you are an idiot.
Again!
Again.
But yeah, so we get to White Castle. No, we get to a White Castle, and they're like closed, and we're like, "What?" And then we're like, "Oh, it's actually this other location, so let's try going to that one." Yeah. So then we keep driving, we get to the other location, and we're like, "Could you imagine if this one's closed too, even though it says it's 24 hours?" So we go up, and the door's locked, and I at the very least start laughing. I'm like, "This is amazing! I can't believe it! Like, this is exactly like Harold and Kumar type thing." But then we find out that the drive-thru's open.
Yeah.
So we go through, and the dude's like, "Hi,
We walked through.
And we were just like, yeah, because we were like, we wanted to get in. We were like, "Can you let us in?" He's like, "No, I can't." We're like, "Please." And he's like, "No, I'm sorry."
I'm like, I've always wanted to sit in a White Castle. Like, he must have thought I was
"I'm
insane.
very sorry, I can't do that."
We have cameras that my
But
boss
he was
will
actually
see.
very cool.
He was. He actually, if it hadn't been for the fact that he could have easily gotten in trouble, he probably would have let us in.
And so what happened is we then ordered a bunch of burgers, way too
And
much.
he
It was
hated
amazing.
us. Because we did like 6 of each kind, which means at that time of night he would have had to fry up every single one of those individually.
We ordered 50... No, we ordered like 62.
Because, the only really funny thing to say after we left White Castle was McDonald's, yeah.
So basically, we ordered 62 burgers.
Yeah.
And the guy had to make every single one. And on our way home, there was the Canadian person that was letting us over.
Patrol person.
Yeah, she was like, "Hey, you shouldn't have been able to get over here."
Yeah.
And how did they let you in? And we're like, "Well, probably because we traveled 4 hours."
And then she was like, "Why would you come here for a White Castle?"
And why would you come here for White Castle? And so that was a cool interaction, and knowing that we were an exception with all of my tools.
Yeah.
Weapons of destruction.
Oh, and at that point also, Chris was like, "I don't know where my passport is, so I'll also just give them my identity stuff," because he'd lost it on this trip.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And then I think did I find my passport?
No,
by then?
no, you did not.
That was a different thing that happened to us. So then what happened was, we on the way, Sheri and Mitchell were singing the Spanish Inquisition
Non-stop for like 10 hours.
Oh,
But yeah, I guess we should do it.
Okay, yeah.
Doesn't matter if you are standing or sitting. No one can escape from the Spanish Inquisition. Doesn't matter if you are standing or sitting. Spanish Inquisition. So essentially that, except repeating what the action is every single time, like a different one.
And we were so deliriously tired, and then it would be like 15 minutes, and then I'd like just go like, It doesn't matter if you're hunting or fishing, and then
No one can escape from Spanish Inquisition. Doesn't matter if you're hunting or fishing. Spanish Inquisition.
And it
hurt.
yeah,
my head
it was
so
brutal. So then
bad.
the follow up to that was a week later when Mitchell came over for dinner and Tim was there. I said something to Mitchell, like I started singing like this Spanish Inquisition song, and Tim was like, he put his hand on his stomach. He's like, "Oh, that song makes me car sick. I don't know. It makes me car sick." He's just like completely
And
associating the song with like us driving him crazy.
It literally affected me so much. I don't even know. But yeah, so then I think the GPS is what stopped it. But so then and then we stopped at
McDonald's on our like about an hour away from
It was
home.
insane. We were all laughing like crazy, especially Sheri and Olivia.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Sheri was like trying to keep her cool, and then Olivia came out of the bathroom, and she had like this giggle smile on her face, and she was like
sloughing her feet. That's
yeah,
what I
she was
remember.
dragging her feet, and then like came and sat down, and then Nana like kept going, and then she just started. Both of them just giggled
giggling
and giggled
so
and
hard.
So
We were probably
loud
there.
at
Yes.
8 a.m.
It
We were staying
was.
up all
We
night.
were probably there for like 30-40
Because
minutes.
people were coming in for their morning coffees, and we're just being like, because we were so deliriously tired.
It was so
Yeah.
great.
It was fun actually.
And then Sheri says something inspirational about how we do things because we all care about and love one another.
What?
And this is where you say something about how we all love one another and it's why we went on this trip.
Because we're the boys.
We're
the boys.
We're the boys.
We're the boys. We're the boys.
Mitch is a boy, and Chris is a boy, and Grim is a boy, and Dad is a boy, and Mom is a boy, and everyone's a boy, and together we're the boys. We're the boys. Oh! Lives in a pineapple under the sea. SpongeBob SquarePants. That's where I'm gonna end it.
Okay,
Bus
that was
woman.
fun.
So that was an amazing trip, an amazing time, and it was amazing.
Yes. Oh, and that is what I was going to say is the whole purpose of us going was to spend time together, because that's why our group dynamic works, because we're all people who like to just do random things that are just silly and fun.
Please download this and listen every day.